about this particular piece.
This piece is called BABYLIFT, and it is named after the specific operation at the end of the Vietnam War, where the U.S. airlifted South Vietnamese orphans out of South Vietnam into the U.S. The operation is more of a poetic ground for me to be working off of. But then it ended up being this very specific task of me trying to conjure the ghosts of the Vietnam War, the people that have been not memorialized and have not been mourned, especially here, where people mostly mourn like veteran casualty, which is 10% of, maybe less than 10% of all the casualties that come out of the war. But also personal ghosts and ancestors. That is very intertwined. And I draw from a lot of rituals, but not with proper research. I don't want to replicate an authentic version of Vietnamese rituals. I think of ritual as like this bookmark moment where you can like temporarily bookmark reality behind you and really go in and do something else. And theater is kind of like that. Even though the Western structure of theater for me is too much about watching, too much about spectatorship.
If you had the most pliable audience in the world and they were just like swept up in the moment, what would it be?
I think it should be a monthly or weekly commitment. It should be this like, I return to the word sacred. It should be a sacred space, sacred time where people can come in and do something together.
So like more like a practice.
Yeah, a practice.
Than it is a spectatorship.
Yeah. And I think like, maybe now I'm fetishizing my own culture, but like we don't really have a practice of going to the theater. But I never felt like theater was missing from my life. You know, like going to the theater was a colonial remnant, like going to the opera house built by the French, watching like high art. Like that's what theater is in Vietnam. Like you don't go to the theater otherwise. But even when I come to terms with theater later in my life, I never felt like that was missing because it's very much built into the culture, going to pagodas and like temples and watching people just being in a trance for 6 hours, and I was a kid getting so bored. Like, you know, like that was like theater for me.
That's something that Target Margin often examines. Yeah. What is theater? What is theater? And yeah, the different ways that we also consume or imbibe theater. It's such a huge question, isn't it? And especially now when all of the normal structures of theater making are gone, we actually have an opportunity at this very moment.
And they should be gone. The normal structure should be gone. I'm sorry.
But we have an opportunity to remake it because everything is gone at the moment. Yeah. So coming back, we can reimagine what is theater, right?
Hopefully. And I hope it's a collective endeavor, you know. I hope like not just us artists coming in and trying to come up with like new ways of producing theater. Like that feels like such a small part in the ecology. Like I think the audience has to do a lot of work themselves too.